Hey, how's it going, YouTube? This is Barlow, formerly known as UBG Ultra Blue Gengar. Now, I may not be UBG anymore, but better believe I'm still King Kaido's one and only choice when it comes to punch battling time, and definitely his only option when it comes to theory time. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into why I decided to rebrand. I feel like it'll be enough for me to leave it at there were some things that came about that I, in good conscience, couldn't continue to be associated with. So I did decide to move away from the UBG branding, and being a big fan of World of Warcraft for well over a decade now. Let's see, I think would have been 2012, right about the end of the Cataclysm expansion during Dragon Soul was when I got into it. You know, God rest my buddy Booty Seller, my best friend who got me into the game. I did get back into it recently. Had a lot of fun. The lore behind that is going buck wild right now. I do have another video in the works where I'm going to be going over some things from that game that just blew my mind. Uh, that video is going to be postponed. I'm not going to be releasing that until the release of patch 11.2. There's just some things I'd like to talk about uh, surrounding some theories in the game that I'd come up with that are looking a bit more fruitful once we get the context of 11.2. So definitely do look forward to seeing that one in a couple of weeks. But today I wanted to, you know, reintroduce myself to the platform and talk about probably my biggest love, the one part of nerd culture that's always had my heart. Uh, the one thing that I can never get enough of talking about, as anybody who knows me on any Discord server I've been a part of, uh, any chance I get to bring up One Piece, I go wild. I will bloat servers. I will word bomb it. I love this series. I love everything about it. The lore, the power systems. Now devil fruits and hockey aren't perfect by any means, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, I would like to talk about a theory that I've been kind of crafting and molding and working on over the last month or so. Nothing too related to recent chapters. Now, I will be honest. The fact we're on Elbaf right now does play a part in the theory, but the theory itself doesn't really have much to do with what we're learning about Elbaf right now, what we're learning about Loki or Harold or Hajruden. What I would like to talk about is I think I've finally done it after, probably around a decade of theory crafting, reading, looking at every little detail, to the point where, I was on my Discord server. I do have a community. Feel free if you'd like to stop in and check that out. I'll leave a link or whatever. I'm not really sure how to do that just yet, but I will leave a way for you to get in touch with me on the Discord server. But I was mentioning on the server earlier this morning that Oda's got me trained to look at everything the way I look at One Piece, down to some things with the Fantastic Four movie getting ready to come out that I've been theory crafting around as well. And, I just have a lot of fun with it. But I think I've finally done it. I think I have finally figured out where Laugh Tale is. Now, any number of theories about what the One Piece is would fit perfectly in with this. The theory itself isn't about what the One Piece is. The theory is just about the fact that Oda has already shown us where Laugh Tale is. He's already given us more details than we needed to be able to figure out where this mystery island is. And I just like to go over what brought me to the conclusions that I've come to, and present my theory about where we're going once Elbaf's done. Now, there's not really a whole lot of preface that goes along with this theory. Everybody's at this point probably rather familiar with the panels that we have gotten, the hints that we've gotten, the clues. But just to go over a couple, probably the more notable ones. Uh, I'll start with the Rogers flashback because it's probably been the biggest tripping point I've come across in most theories that I've heard or read. Uh, and the fact that there wasn't a background. All we got was the Rogers crew laughing and Rogers talking about, boy, Joy Boy, I wish I was born in your era. We would have messed things up, brother. Like, Rogers was feeling it. Whatever he read on that poneglyph, he's like, man, I was born in the wrong century. But there was no background. And it's led to a lot of speculation and theory territory. I've heard everything from it's in space to end of the Grand Line. Like, everybody is assuming, admittedly, because we've been led to believe. But we got to keep in mind that Oda has never said or put into a chapter that Laugh-Tale is at the end of the red line or at the end of the Grand Line. My apologies. In the sense that it's on the Blue Sea. Now that is important because I feel like we've already kind of learned that was the first big clue as to where Laugh-Tale was. All we got was Roger's crew laughing against a white backdrop, right? Like, okay, calm down, Barlow. That might just be Oda not wanting to reveal too much about the climate or the look or environment of the island, right? And that makes sense. When this island is a big part of your end game, you don't want to reveal too much, especially somebody like Oda who seems to take pride in spoon feeding tiny grains of bread until before we realize we've had a full fucking sandwich. And sorry about that. I do I try to keep it friendly. I want anybody to be able to consume the content, but he spoon feeds us so little, and before we know it, we're all, oh wow, we've had this whole sandwich I've been eating, and he's already told me everything. So first detail is just the Rogers flashback, right? Second detail, now I've heard rumors. I haven't been able to confirm it. Being an English speaker living in America, I'm not well versed on how to get information from Japanese sources that I trust. There is information out there. There are people who translate all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to something like this, I don't feel comfortable relying solely on what other people say, and I haven't had the time to learn how to read or speak Japanese, so I am unable to translate and confirm myself. But I have heard rumors that Oda's mentioned that Elbaf was never supposed to happen. It wasn't a stop he intended to make, but it had been built up so much. It was somewhere even us as fans, not even just Luffy and Usopp, right, but us as fans, we were all, oh man, I really want to see this island. I hope we go. I can't wait to see it. What is giant culture like? Oda had already told us a lot about that through Little Garden, Shanks, Dressrosa. We've already learned quite a bit about giant culture and what makes the giants who they are. I could see a plausible reason why Oda wouldn't feel the need to stop on Elbaf, but we did. It can't be undone for whatever reasons, whether confirmed or not. if Oda wanted to stop or not. It doesn't matter. All that matters is we are on Elbaf, and there are a couple of details that we've been learning on Elbaf that play a factor in this. Most notably is the fact that the Heaven Realm is connected to the Cloud Sea. Now, don't get ahead of me. I want to piece this all together. Want to make sure we arrive at the conclusion. Uh, but the Heaven Realm is directly connected to the Cloud Sea, which is really cool as a detail because it also offers an explanation of how giants were able to get their hands on so much sea stone to be able to chain Loki to the Atom Tree. Because, we don't always consider proportions, right? But if we think about it, like stop to remember the panels we've been given, a single link in that chain holding Loki was vastly bigger than Luffy. Like, we're talking, it made Luffy look like a puny little thing. So, a chain made up of these links that wraps around the World Tree multiple times, that took a lot of sea stone. And we do know it's sea stone, confirmed by things spoken. The giants are under the impression that Loki has a devil fruit, so it makes sense that they would want to restrain him with sea stone. Hey, it's the counter to devil fruits. Everybody uses it. Even Kaido used it on Wano. But the fact that the Heaven Realm is connected to the Cloud Sea explains this. They basically potentially have their own mining operation and are exporting sea stone. We don't know yet. Harold wanted Elbaf to connect, so it's potential there are remnants of Harold's dream, and that's not the theory. I'm just kind of floating that one out there because it popped into the head right now. But so we got the Heaven Realm connected to the Cloud Sea. But these are all just tiny details, right? Like lack of background in a flashback. Part of the island we're currently on is connected to somewhere we've always kind of speculated we were going back. But this doesn't quite track or explain anything yet, right? Which brings me to something Harold said recently. I believe it was chapter 1152. Harold was, just after meeting Ida, was going around meeting with some of the other leaders from the islands, sharing a bit of giant culture and soaking up the information from human culture. It's just a beautiful little detail, by the way, I gotta mention. Love really, really can change people, right? Like Harold, this warmonger, you might think of him in like an Obadiah Stane kind of fucking role, where he wanted war for the sake of war and to prove strength. And then he met another giant who showed him like, hey, bro, you got it a little wrong, my dude. Like, nah, it's all right to take pride in who you are and your strength, but don't forget you were born lucky. You could have just as easily been born a human without your immense stature and strength. Nothing about giants is inherently different than humans. And Ida helped Harold realize this, did wonders for his ego and the island of Elbaf. Sure, maybe they're not warrior central anymore, but as we've seen, there is a subsect of Elbafian giants who do still hold on to that warrior culture, who are all, nah, I don't want to forget this. And the fact that Haj Ruden seems to be developing into a leader with this is really promising, at least to me. But what did Harold say that connects with this theory, right? It was the navigation, how Harold was describing how giants navigated before log posts. Sorry, blanked on that one. And he was talking about the pole star, North Star, Lodestar, whatever, however your translation put it. In the translation I read, it was called the pole star, but had a little note talking about the kanji, I guess, translated to North Star, which are all connected to the real life idea of a lodestar, which, I'm no PhD, but I'll give you a quick rundown. A lodestar is basically just a celestial body who, in relation to Earth, never looks like it's moving. So, no matter where Earth is in its orbit of the sun, no matter where the sun is in its orbit of the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy, that star, the lodestar, will always appear in the same position in the sky, regardless of the night on Earth, position, celestial, none of that. It's a fixed point, basically. Which got me thinking about Lodestar Island, because in reality, with this idea of what a lodestar is, pretty much every island on Planet Blue is a lodestar island. Very few move. Obviously we got Zoe, we got Thriller Bark. I'm sure there's, a couple other I'm blanking on right now. But the point is, very few islands actually move, which would insinuate that every island could be seen as a lodestar, right? It's a fixed point. It'll always be there, with the exception of a small handful of islands, right? So why would this one island be called a lodestar? Lodestar Island, right? And that's when it occurred to me that Elbaf connects to the Cloud Sea. And, seeing as we don't really have any indication, now obviously it could change, but we don't have any indication that there is another stop in between Elbaf and Lodestar. Like, as it stands right now, it would seem like we're going Elbaf, Lodestar, Laugh-Tale. And that makes sense. Tracks with, Shueisha and Oda both kind of alluding to the fact that One Piece is intended to end in the next 5 to 10 years. It seems like it's, the next 5 years, every year is just updated. Like, oh yeah, it'll be 5 years. Oh yeah, it'll be 5 years. Like, hey, I'm not complaining. I am eating this up, right? And, I'm sure a lot of you are too. But, what if Lodestar Island got its name because of the giants? Now, it might not be a North Star to every island on the sea, but for Elbaf, Lodestar was the North Star. The bottom of it could be seen from the Cloud Sea, and the giants knew as long as we aim for that, we'll make it back to Elbaf, making it their Lodestar, making it their anchor point, their way to find home no matter what. And this thought had me going, because when I get these little thoughts, they just evolve until eventually I hit a wall, and it's all, oh, okay, no, never mind, that was cap, that was BS. Sometimes it falls to various online friends I have, because like I said, I talk about One Piece. Sometimes it falls to them, like pointing out, like, hey, Barlow, remember this though, or hey, Barlow, don't forget about that. Like, you know what, you're right, you're onto something. I forgot about that. 28 years of a story will do that. You start to forget some of the little pieces. But there's no chance that Skypiea, Lodestar, and Laugh-Tale are the only islands on the Cloud Sea. Now, what would the background look like on a Cloud Island? And keep in mind, Skypiea is not a Cloud Island. It's part of Jaya. It was a surface city that was launched into the Cloud Sea. We can't use Skypiea when we're considering what other Cloud Islands might look like, because it's not. All it did was have some island clouds form around it to keep it up there. So I ask again, what would the background of a Sky Island look like? There's no dirt to grow trees or grass. There's no land to form rocks or mountains or hills. Wouldn't a sky island just be a white background? There's no clouds in the sky when you're in the clouds. I mean, obviously in real life, we've got various types of clouds. It depends on what layer of the atmosphere your sky island's at in real life. But aside from a couple one-off mentions here or there, it doesn't seem like we have a reason to believe that the One Piece planet Blue Star, I believe, has that same multi-level atmosphere with multiple levels of clouds. Now it could be, and what would a cloud look like on a white background anyway? Point being, the Laugh Tale flashback, Roger's flashback, was our confirmation on where Laugh Tale is, which makes it extra funny to me because it is entirely a Lord of the Rings moment now. If this theory stands, then once we're finished with Elbaf, we're going up that tree. We're gonna clear the heaven realm, whatever's up there, probably the elders doing some sus stuff. And then we're gonna set out. We're gonna learn Shanks has already done this. We're gonna get cuts to Buggy and Crocodile and Crossguild and all them pulling up on Elbaf, or whatever their method of getting to the Cloud Sea is. Blackbeard, I mean, I could probably come up with a couple theories just off the top right now to explain how Blackbeard gets to the Cloud Sea. But as a final thought, if Laugh Tale is on the Cloud Sea, then it also explains why the world government's never been able to get to it, because island clouds are where sea stone's derived from, and sea stone is the perfect counter to devil fruits. So with Emu apparently, magic, whatever it turns out to be, it does seem like that decade-old theory about Emu being the devil, having all the devil fruits, is gonna end up holding up, and that is wild. Like 10 years ago, that theory sounded like trash, like somebody just word vomiting their fan fiction, right? But it's starting to look like it's adding up. They wouldn't be able to get up there. The nature of the Cloud Sea itself would prevent the world government from getting to it. Would also give emphasis on why Elbaf was an important piece to seemingly the world government and Emu's plan. And if our final battle is going to be on the Cloud Sea, right? Just epic battle set against a white backdrop. What's the background? What's going to keep us entertained? What's going to keep us coming back for every chapter? Like, yeah, cool, the punch battling is going to be awesome. We know that Oda's a master when it comes to writing. Like, but what's the background? And then I realized we've got like 500 characters. We have bodies to fill the background of a giant epic war outside of Laugh Tale on the Cloud Sea. Just adding reason, adding fuel to why, some of these older characters like Buggy, we've always had fun laughing about this fool failing his way to the top. Mihawk was always intended to be the final battle for Zoro. But why has Dofi stayed relevant? Like, oh cool, he has some information. We're gonna get that eventually. Do we need Dofi? Why is Crocodile staying relevant? Big Mom and Kaido, why weren't they confirmed to no longer be? I mean, aside from the fact that they were a Straw Hat Ops and the Straw Hats haven't caught any bodies, asterisk, maybe Nami has. But since joining the crew, none of the Straw Hats have caught any bodies. Why start now? I think it's more likely Oda's just setting up, keeping pieces in the background, ready to be plucked at a moment's notice. Because, oh crap, my battle's got a little too much cloud space back here. Let me draw an extra body. Like, oh man, I got this super zoom out Saul fighting Shogun Frankie. And let's add a couple boats, a couple battles going on around them. Now all of a sudden our white background isn't looking so bland. It's part of the story. So TLDR, you know, Laugh-Tale and Lodestar, my theory, they're both going to be on the Cloud Sea. And yeah, I think that's about it. I apologize. Looks like about 26 minutes of me yapping on about this, and that's kind of just the tip of the iceberg. But it feels good to be back here talking to y'all. I'm trying to do it a little more seriously this time. I do have a Twitter set up. I've got a Tumblr. I got my Discord community. I'll try to make sure I leave links to at least the Discord. Let me see if I can figure out the Twitter and Tumblr thing too. I'd love to talk to y'all about it. You know, if you enjoyed the theory, don't forget to leave a like. If you think maybe I missed something or you got a counter proposal, hit me up in the comments or come check out the Discord. I love talking to people about my theories because it's a chance to flex and exercise the critical thinking aspects, right? And keeping the brain young is important. So, you know, the only thing I ask in my community is, you know, be respectful. We all want our theories to be true in the end, right? But until we get confirmation, that's all they are. They're theories. It's just us having fun, talking about stuff we love. So yeah, you know, I'd love to hear back from y'all. Any ideas? Keep them, or remember, I'm going to be working on a World of Warcraft video to come out alongside patch 11.2. I'll probably drop a Fantastic Four theory video in between this one and that one because I believe 11.2 is coming out in August. We got a bit of time there. I am going to try to get the Fantastic Four video done and out before release. Oh man, the week of July 20th is going to be killer this year. But thank you guys for your time. Hope to hear from some of y'all. If not, I'll be back next time with another theory.